All right, welcome back, everybody. And now we are dealing with chapter 11, which is going to be processing payroll. Okay, so in this case, when we open up this student portable file, which is PR processing 21, right? This allows us to take a look at a sample file of what it's like to pay for Intuit's payroll services. Okay, so if you guys remember in chapter 10, we talked about 3 payroll services, right? Here we go. This is a paid version of QuickBooks, which allows me to be able to show you this window. So here's the 2019 version of QuickBooks. So here, this is what I'm going to show you is the options that you have available for payroll services. So exactly how you normally do it, right? You either click on turn on payroll on your home page, or you can go ahead and go to the employees menu at the top of the top here, and you're going to click on payroll service options, and you're going to learn more. So again, you do have to have the full program in order for you to get a subscription. So unfortunately, for those who have the trial version, you unfortunately don't have the this page right here. It's blocked off because you are looking at a trial version. But I just want to go ahead and show you here, instead of looking at the website itself, you have it right here as your options, right? First one they're going to do is they want to introduce you is going to be the basic, okay? The basic, which is more or less like the very beginning kind of package, right? And that's what we're going to be looking into today, is that this file, for Imagine Photography, they are going to show you just a glimpse of what the basic package is for the payroll services, right? Here you can even try a 30-day trial. It's up to you. Once again, if you decide to outsource your payroll and not do it manually, I'm going to tell you this. If you have less employees, you definitely want to try to, it might be a little cost more effective if you don't want to go through every single individual employee and figure out what their withholdings are and yada yada yada, whether they filed a W-4 from 2019 or filed W-4 for 2020. There are 2 different forms, and there are 2 different taxes, right? Because with the new 2020, it's a completely different process of how you're going to be calculating your withholdings. It's completely different, right? Compared to if you did it back then in the 2019 and prior, it's so much more easier because all you have to deal with is a couple numbers, okay? And I'm going to show you today because today we're also going to show you what manual payroll system looks like. Okay, but here we have the three ones that you could try, which is the basic, the enhanced, and the assisted. All right, and as you scroll down, you get to see what you can and can't do. So if you read your book, you're gonna know that you have to have enhanced or assisted in order to help you file for your forms. But if you don't, then unfortunately you're gonna have to do that on your own through your tax accountant. Okay. But once again, each payroll service, right, pretty much it goes for mostly how many employees you have that you have to calculate for. Most cases, like for anybody that has like less than 10 or 20 employees, basic is good enough for you, right? You don't need to process that much payroll, right? Whereas you progress and go up in every single level, enhance allows you to do, 50 plus or more. If you're a corporation that has millions of employees or thousands of employees, right, then you definitely want to go for assisted, right? Now, you don't need to use Intuit per se. There are a lot of payroll accounting services out there that, could be a lot cheaper. Once again, if you do use Intuit, just because the great thing about Intuit is that it's all in one package, right? Instead of having to go outsource to a third-party vendor to do your payroll for you and you have to come back and record it, QuickBooks, if you just download their Intuit one and subscribe to them, Okay? They just pull the information for you and they update the QuickBooks for you automatically. There's no extra entry that you have to do. And it makes it that much easier to process payroll because you already have all the information already in the QuickBooks file, right? You have all the employees' information, how they get paid, etc., etc. So it just makes it that much more easier. Okay? Now, and they can even, Intuit can even process the paycheck for you, or you can even print it at home. So, or at your business, of course. But with that being said, right, this is a subscription, meaning you have to pay every single month for this service. It's not, oh, buy one and get it for the whole year. No, it's a monthly subscription. There is a year-long pass that they do offer as well, but that's where you have to actually go to the actual website to get more details into that. But this is a paid subscription, so you have to renew it every month. All right, and they even give you a little handy-dandy little chat box that allows you to ask any questions, so you can, guarantee which one you feel most comfortable for and that's fit for your company. Okay, so once again, this is only available on a actual paid version of QuickBooks. So this is QuickBooks 2019. It's been paid for, so that's why I'm able to show this for you in this screen right here. Okay, and once again, in the book, it tells you the website that you can view, because they do have they have upgraded to a little section called QuickBooks Payroll, which allows you to do all of this, but it's another addition to QuickBooks itself that allows you to process payroll. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you today, was this section right here. All right. Again, basic, enhanced, and assisted are the 3 payroll systems that are available through Intuit. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put my 2019 down and bring up 2021. All right. So with that being said, in this file, it's going to show you a sample file of what it's like to use Intuit's paid services, payroll services, okay? Now, in this case, right, the dates are off because, once again, this is a, this is a sample file, right? It's just showing you what cool features that you can use when you have the Intuit payroll system. It calculates everything for you. You don't need to do anything except for pay your employees or pay liabilities, and so on and so forth, okay? So first, let's go ahead and go over this little checklist over here. So if you are in the position of being the human resources, the PR person, payroll, whatever your job title is, this is what your responsibilities are to do every single, whether it's a payday, pay period, December, or January of the very beginning of the year. This is what you have to complete, okay? And what's very crucial is that, because depending on how you pay your employees, you definitely want to make sure that you rule out any adjustments or anything that needs to be done every single payday. So in this case right here, they tell you that every payday, you are subject to make sure that you go over your employees' information, go over the liabilities, go over all of those, reports and things like that. Okay, and then same thing, every tax deposit that you do, you want to make sure that that you file them correctly and that you make those payments on time. Okay. And then, of course, every quarter, right, you have to run maybe a few reports that you have to do. Okay. And then again, at the very beginning of January, right, when you're preparing for taxes, you want to make sure that you have all the forms necessary. So filling out that 940 and that 941 form, make sure you have all of those ready, so then you can go ahead and file taxes. Okay, so once again, because QuickBooks is built as a accounting software, that makes it that much easier to file for taxes. So in this case, right, if you can keep really good track record in your QuickBooks, all you have to do is go to your tax accountant, send them an accountant's copy, and they can pull all the information that they need in order to process the W-2 for you guys, as well as pop in the tax. Okay, so there's a lot of things that QuickBooks can do to make it that much more easier. Okay, so these are the responsibilities that the HR or the person who's in charge of payroll is responsible to make sure that they check off their list. Okay. So then let's talk about using the Employee Center, which we have done before, but right, if you guys remember, the Payroll Center, right, only has 2 tabs. But now, because we activated our payroll services, let's go ahead and now let's introduce the Employee Center now. Okay, so this time the Employee Center has 3 tabs this time. Okay, the first one, right, if you didn't have payroll turned on, you would only have your employee list, and you had just a list of transactions here. But this time, because I have a payroll center, this is the payroll center. Okay, so there's a few things that are a little different just because this is a trial version. So you would normally have like a calendar right here, but everything else would look the same. And this box right here is your payroll scheduler. This is the one that allows you to see who you have to pay, because you can have employees that are set for a monthly payroll, and you can have some employees that are bi-weekly payroll, okay? And if they are on 2 different pay schedules, this right here is going to tell you what you have to pay or who you have to pay and how much, okay? So in this case, when I take a look into my payroll center, okay, so notice this, if I go to payroll center, you have 3 additional tabs under the payroll center. You have your pay employees, your pay liabilities, and your file forms, okay? That's what's different. And the employee center is now you have an additional payroll center, right? You can also do that right here on the home page once you activate that, right? Those are the same windows that are right here. You have your pay employees, your pay liabilities, and your file forms right here, right? Not only are those the same ways too, you have it up here on the employee menu bar. You click on that, you have the same options here. Pay your employees, right? Pay your payroll tax liabilities. And then file your forms, okay? And you have a little more, okay? So that is a little introduction to the payroll center. Now, in this case, right, if I have my payroll center activated, then this right here, I could just access my payroll center at any given time by clicking on payroll center right here on the home page, or I can access it through the menu there, right? There are 2 ways that you can access it, right? You can access it by pressing the payroll center on the home page, or you can just activate it by opening your employee center and clicking on the payroll tab. Okay, so that's the payroll center for you. So once again, right here is supposed to be a calendar. Okay, I guess I could show you on the 2019 version. Okay, since this was the original file for it. If I go ahead, in this case, I don't have my payroll center on. So right there is supposed to be a calendar. So in your book, it should show you exactly how it's supposed to look like. Okay, and that's when you get a full access or full program for this one. Okay, but in this case, I have a trial version, so it shows me this little window here. But everything else looks the same. You got all your options to pay your employees, pay your liabilities, and also file your forms. Okay. Okay. So we talked about the payroll center. So again, you should have the calendar like this, right? So next is going to be payroll tax tables. Now here it tells you that you need to make sure that you check on QuickBooks.com and make sure that your tables are up to date. All right, especially because depending on what year you are filing or not filing, the what year that you are subject to pay your taxes to. So, for example, every year there's a new tax rate, right, or a new percentage, especially when it comes to federal income tax, right? Because it depends on who's in office, right, whether it's Republican or Democratic, and it also depends on what that year that the whole United States is going to agree on. Is there going to be more taxes this year? Will you be paying more taxes this year, or will you be paying less? So every year, what you're going to notice is that it's going to progressively increase more and more and more. And of course, with that being said, right, every year the tax tables change. Okay, so here they tell you in order for you to be able to find these tax tables, you need to go to the irs.gov publication 15T, which is this form right here, or this file right here, which gives you all the information for federal income tax withholding, which is pretty much all the tax tables here. Now, the one that you are going to be primarily looking at is going to be this one right here, right? Which is the percentage method table for automated payroll systems. So that means because we're using a automated system, which is a payroll system that does the calculation for us, we need to make sure that our tables and the tables that you're using in QuickBooks match right here. So again, this is their new 2021. So right now in QuickBooks 2021, you would be using this if you are processing payroll in the year of 2021. Well, in this sample file, we're using 2019, right? You're going to notice that the sample file only allows you to do 2019. So again, the tax tables are going to be slightly different, but I just want to make sure that you understand where you're able to obtain it and how you are able to do it. So in this case, the numbers are going to be off because this is 2019 tax tables, while these ones right here is a 2021. Okay, now if you notice this, you can see if you read very carefully, there are rules because now that I've mentioned before, the W-4 form right now has completely changed. Okay, the W-4 form today from 2020 and 2021 takes into contributing factors for either your spouse's income or any extra income, whether you have a secondary or a tertiary job. Okay, they want you to write down everything and total up all of your earned income for your household. Okay, or just for you as an individual, because nowadays, right, with the vast majority of people being able to obtain multiple jobs, right? And instead of filing W-4 forms for every single job that you go to, they want you to slam it on, crunch it all into one. And they want you to let them know which one's your primary and then which one's your secondary, okay? So for those who have a primary job from 8 to 5, right, you can do from 6 to 10, you could go ahead and do some Postmates or do some DoorDash to earn some extra income. And that's what today's society is, right? A lot of people do Uber and Lyft after hours, after they finish working their first 8-hour shift. So with that being said, right, they want to be able to collect all the information of all the extra income that you are calculating and then go ahead and file this. And then the marital status is there's only 3 you could choose from: single, married, or head of household. Okay, so once again, the W-4 forms for 2020 and 2021, you can find that at irs.gov if you are curious about what that form looks like, because for all of you guys that are going to be applying for a job, you have to fill out the W-4 form for 2021. Okay, so that means you're gonna definitely need to seek a professional. Usually the human resources at that company should know more about filling out that form. So if you need help filling out that form, there is a website there that allows you to, for irs.gov, to actually help you fill out that form. It's called the Tax Code Estimator. But your company should know more about filling out the new form, okay? Now, once again, that's what these tax tables are for, because one of them is for if you are using the 2019, so for someone who's been working there but did not file for a new changes in 2021, they're still using the old form. So therefore, that's why this table is split into two, because one is for prior 2019 and prior, or it's for, and then the other one is for 2020, which is later. Okay, so that's the little doozy here, is that there are two different tax tables, but eventually the 2019 form will eventually be switched over to 2021. But once again, people could not change. They're not required to change their W-4 form every year, unless something significant has impacted them. Let's say they got married, then they want to file jointly, so then that's going to impact them. Okay, so that's this tax table right here. Okay, that you're going to use for QuickBooks or Intuit, whichever one, because this is for automated payroll systems. All right. And once again, you can get this form at irs.gov/publication15T, okay, for taxes. Okay. So now let's go ahead and dive right into paying your employees. Now, this is really quick and really easy. And when I say really quick and really easy, let's go ahead and go through it. All right? First things first is you want to pay your employees. So you have a couple options you can do here, right? We talked about the Employee Center, which takes you to the Payroll Center, right? Which once you're in the Payroll Center, right? Just close it out. I don't know why I closed it. Right? If you click on this and you click on Pay Employees, right there, it tells you that you have your first, the last paycheck of the year, which is on December 15, or in this case, December 16, is when you're going to have issued the check, right? Simple as that. You have one there, okay? The other way around, you could do it was on the home page. You could click employees there, or you could click employees on the menu bar and go ahead and click pay employees. Okay, pretty straightforward, right? Now, this is different than writing a regular check. Okay, so make sure that you are clear on this. If you're writing a regular check, that has nothing to do with payroll, and you're not going to be able to associate any of the taxes that you are subject to pay for it, all right? So in order to pay for your employees, you must go through the Payroll Center, okay? And you must go here under Pay Employees, and you're going to go ahead and click on this little button right here that says Schedule, Start Scheduling, okay? So if I go ahead and click on that window, another window is going to pop up, right? Make sure you select the checks that you're going to be writing out. And here is going to be the window that you're going to set up to make sure that you go ahead and make a payment to your employees, okay? First things first is you want to make sure that you have a checking account. Now, this is what they recommend. Under QuickBooks, they actually recommend you to open up a secondary checking account, all right? Because rule of thumb here is you want to make sure that when you're running your business, your number one priority is to make sure that you have enough money to pay for your employees, okay? Meaning paying them for their paycheck for the month, for the week, whatever it is, whatever pay schedule that you are promising them, okay? That's number one. All bills that you are due, right? That's going to be second priority, because your first one is you definitely want to make sure that you want to keep your employees satisfied and making sure that they come to you to keep working. Because if you can't afford to pay for them and you tell them, sorry guys, no paycheck this week, they're going to be mad at you, and they might come after you and be like, So I worked a full 80 hours and you're telling me you can't even afford it? That's going to be a reason why people would have more likely have a turnover rate. Maybe a greater reason to leave the company because they can't even afford you. And even they beg you to stay and just keep working, right? That just gives you more reason to want to leave. So that's why they suggest you to create a secondary account. And what you're going to do is you're going to do your bank transfers and transfer enough money so that you have enough money saved to make sure that you can afford to pay your employees for that week, that month, whatever it is, right? So that's what they just recommend. But in this case, straightforward, it's going to come right out of my checking account. Okay? And if you keep a separate payroll checking account, it just makes it that much easier to keep track of who you paid, when you made the payments for, and et cetera, because then you're creating a register for just only strictly payroll. Okay, but in this case, I'm going to go to checking. All right, that's the first thing I got to check here. Second thing is going to be, when did my payroll period end? In this case, because we're on a semi-monthly, right? We pay on the 15th, on the end, we pay on the 16th and the last day of the month. Okay? So in this case, the ending here is going to be December 15, 2019. So once again, this is a sample file. And it says right here that you have 2 employees, right? You could choose, maybe I'm not going to pay Mike this week, but I mean, you should, okay? So you have 2 people that you're pending, and then when do you want the check date to be available for them to cash out? Usually, it's always going to be the day after, or most cases, right? If you're on a bi-weekly, you could choose whether you want to pay your employees on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Right? You have those days. But remember, the trick about that Friday, Saturday, Sunday is if they can't cash their check out until the following Monday. So that gives you, time to put money into the bank if you need to, right? But most cases Friday, right? They can go cash out their check, but that means they got to go make it to the bank before 6 o'clock, or else they can't get it. They won't be able to process it until the following week. So that's a couple rules there. All right. In this case, I want to make it available the day after, or the day that they receive their paycheck, which is the 16th. That's going to be there available. Okay. So once I viewed this right here and made sure that this is what I want to be stamped on to the paycheck, right? Other things I want to see here is, do I want to print the paychecks on check stock? Yes. If you are planning to print at your company, then yes, go ahead and print it. But if not, you can always just, handwrite the checks and assign them. Another thing too is you can hold on to the printer and send it to the bank, whoever, and they can process the payroll there and process the paychecks there. All you're doing is just writing the pay stub or the check information and just keeping it into your QuickBooks. Okay. So once again, there you go. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on Katie Reynolds just to go ahead and see what her salaries is going to be. So in this case, right, I have her information right here. Now, because this is a paid service, notice this. All the calculations are done for you. You don't have to do anything. All you got to do is just pay your employees. All the calculations are done for you. Okay, now keep in mind, this is the 2019 version, so therefore this is 2019 tax tables. Okay, and notice this, it already calculated the federal withholdings for you, $171. It even did Social Security and Medicare, which when we dive into the manual payroll section, I'll teach you what this is. Okay, and they even did Medicare employee, right? They even calculated the California taxes that this person is subject to pay. They even calculated what the company owes, right? The company tax liabilities, right? We are responsible to match the Social Security. We are responsible to pay for California and federal unemployment. And we are subject to pay into the federal insurance Contribution Act, which is FICA for short, which is the Medicare and Social Security. If the employee puts in a percentage, if an employee puts in to their Medicare Social Security, your responsibility is to cover 100% and put in the same exact and match them 100% into their Social Security and Medicare as well. Okay? And look, it's calculated all for you. You don't have to do anything here. Okay? So that's that there. And it even has year-to-date information as well. Okay? So this is what they've done for this whole entire year. They've accumulated so much over the year. Okay? And that's it right here. Now, because Katie is a salary, right? We took her salary of $60,000 and we divided it amongst the number of paychecks that she will be receiving. So in this case, right, she's getting a check every 2 weeks, right? No, I'm sorry, twice a month, right? She's under semi-monthly, so she gets one on the 16th and one on the very last day of the month. So therefore, in grand total, she's collecting a total of 24 paychecks. So 60,000 divided by 24 gives you a total of 2,500. Now, because we set this as a salary, this is what she's going to be earning every single paycheck. So there's no more, no less, unless you offer overtime, which can, if she goes over the 80 hours or however many hours you set the limit to be, then every hour after that is going to be considered overtime, but that's only if you offer it. And in this case, we don't offer it. Okay? So here is Katie. Now, in this case, we can come here and modify all the information right here because in this case, Katie's a salary. We don't need a timesheet from Katie because it doesn't matter what she does because at the end of the day, however many hours she puts in, it doesn't matter to us because we're still going to pay her $2,500 no matter what. So if she worked 70 hours this paycheck, or if she worked 86 hours this paycheck, she's still going to earn the same amount of $2,500 every single paycheck. All right? So here, if you offer sick pay, right, it's going to cover that. If you offer vacation pay, it's going to go for that. Okay? So in this case, right, she did actually have some vacation pay. So in this case, we got to make sure it's salary vacation, right? Now notice this, when I enter that piece of information it's split half and half, okay? But in this case, no, she doesn't get half of her hours to salary vacation. She's going to get most of her hours through the very primary pay, all right? So in this case, this is where I'm going to go ahead and enter in my numbers for hours because this is how it's going to scale it and this is how it's going to calculate how many vacation hours she's already used by entering in the information here under hours. Okay, so she could claim, I think it's 85 hours for regular salary, and then she claimed 3 hours for vacation. Okay, so that's what it should look like right here. It should look like 14, 14, 71, or sorry, 77, and then she earned $85.23 for vacation. And look at that. It's still going to stay the same of $2,500 unless you override it. Okay? So once again, that's how you can make changes to your employees' information if it's necessary. All right? And everything looks good, right? I don't need to calculate this unless I want to be for sure that this is the correct amount. Okay? Now, in this case, once again, these are different tax tables, so we can't calculate it now because it's going to be different than it is back then because I only have the 2021 tax tables. Okay? Any questions in regards to paying your employees? Okay, so that's just taking care of Katie. All right. So if I go ahead and click Save and Next, right, that's going to bring me now to my next employee, which is Mike Mizuki. Okay, Mazowski, whatever his name is, right? Mizuki. Since he's an hourly person, right? He's getting hourly regular, right? This is where you can transfer the information through the timesheet, okay? Now, in this case, they have the timesheet taken off because where did we learn about timesheets? We learned about timesheets in chapter 9. So we know how to fill one out and we know how to go ahead and pass it through so then you can bill them for this pay period, right? QuickBooks is going to automatically take the information that you filled out for that week or for that monthly period, right? It's going to collect all that information and it's going to locate it right here for you. Okay? You don't need to go to the timesheet and actually extract that information. It does it for you automatically. So in this case, it shows me that Mike has worked 80 hours. Okay? Great. Right? Here, since he's a full-time employee, he gets the same benefits as a salary person, right? He gets the 401k deduction. However, in this case, right, because he's making significantly less, he only made $19.20. His income tax is definitely going to be different because he probably filed as single with no withholdings. Where Katie, she filed as a married status with 2 dependents. So she claimed 2 withholdings. In this case, Mike has not done any of it. So in this case, his federal withholdings is $313. And he made less than what Katie made. However, the only difference is because he probably filed as single status and he filed as 0 withholding. So he's taking the maximum amount of taxes out from his paycheck. And that means he's subject to $313 to federal income tax withholdings. Okay? So that's why it can be semi-important to understand how to fill out a W-4 form because in this case, Mike has nothing taken out from his paycheck. Has nothing to withhold from his paycheck. So therefore, he's going to be taxed at the maximum. But that means at the end of the year, he's more likely to get a tax return. Okay, where Katie, she took out two dependents and she's filed as married status. So therefore, she took 3 withholdings, right? 1 for being married and 2 for the 2 children, right? So therefore, that's why when she earned more than Mike, she was subject to less federal income taxes. But if the company is withholding taxes, more likely at the end of the year, she may have to pay the government extra money. Okay, so that's the few rules about understanding how to fill out your W-4 form. Because if you take too much out, you could be subject to have to pay at the end of the year. But if you just right now do not claim anything, and then at the end of the year, you claim it at the end, then you could still get a potential tax return at the end of the year. But in this case, she wants it now because she says that $2,500 is just not enough, especially living in California. That's definitely not enough money. Okay? So here you go. All of Mike's tax is already calculated for us. And then now all we have to do is click Save and Close. So here it gives us a little summary of what we just did here. And if I go ahead and click on Continue, this just gives us another summary saying, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to make a payment to Mike, and you're going to make a payment to Katie for these amounts right here, right? This is the gross pay. This is what they worked. This is what they earned, right? Then this is all the taxes that they were deducted, and these are all the deductions and the net pay. So this is what I'm going to actually pay them. It is going to be $18.20 and $11.42.32. All right. All these taxes are subject to me that I have to pay for either withholding. These people have to pay forth for the government for that. Okay, so that's that there. All right. Once everything looks good, you can go ahead and click on Create Paychecks. Right? You got 2 beep of approvals, and then you're gonna get this window right here. Okay. You have 2 choices. You can either print your paychecks now, or you can print your pay stubs. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and select print pay stubs. Okay. For any reason that you cannot find, you end up clicking close, you can always print them by going to File, Print Forms, and there's an actual section that says Paychecks. Okay. So in this case, here you go. I selected all two. And once again, it's coming out from your checking account. And you want to make sure that you're going to put in a sequence number in here. So in this case, it automatically filled in for me that it should be 6069 is what's going to be the paycheck information, right? Or the paycheck number, right? Yeah, you guys still there?
I'm here. I keep getting you on and off, but I'm here.
Okay, perfect. Okay, just want to make sure you guys are still there. Okay. So once you have that, right, you're going to go ahead and click OK. Now this is where, how you're going to print it, where you're going to print it, what else do you need to add on there? So again, best one to do is voucher style. Okay, because voucher style will allow you to have your pay stub information at the very top, and at the very bottom of the piece of paper, you're going to have that perforated line for you to rip your paycheck off for and submit it to the bank. All right, that's the best style so far. But if you're looking to save some money and save some printing paper, then, a second one that you could do is standard, which once again, it's like a regular piece of paper, but you have 3 rows in there that allows you to print 3 paychecks in one sitting, and you just, tear it on the perforated list, print out their pay stub, attach it in an envelope or however you want to put it in there, and call it a day. All right? So whichever one that is most cost effective for you or beneficial for you, then you would do so. But in this case, the best one is to do voucher style because you get all your pay information at the very top, and then down below gives you your paycheck there. Okay? Once again, these are things that you have to obtain either through Intuit or through your actual bank itself. They may say that you may have to have a special ink to print on these, right? You don't want ink that when you accidentally spill on the paycheck, you don't want the ink to run. So you might have to have a special printer or special ink that allows you to print on the paychecks. And again, they have to be legitimate treasury kind of pay checks, right? They have to have that holographic serial or that stamp, if you know what I'm talking about, that federal stamp that's behind the paper. Usually some of them have that, or they have that like black and white lines that just kind of run through the paper, or the dots, I guess. That's going to be considered a federal form of treasury paper. Okay. Once again, you could set up your printer here. Okay. And if you want to, right, great things that you can do is you can even attach a signature. So instead of having the boss around, maybe the boss isn't in the office all the time and you need to get these paychecks as soon as possible, right? You can always print out the signature. Okay. So in this case, right, you should have a copy in your student portable files. So I'm going to go ahead and locate that. So LVPTA, Accounting, QuickBooks Class, Student Portable Files. Go here. And there we have it, right? In this case, they used the old owner for Academy Photography, right? Because we know the new owner is Jamal Williams. This is Vern Black. Maybe he's the co-owner, whatever it is, right? Maybe he was the partner for Academy and they branched out and became Imagine. Who knows, okay? Whatever it is, here's a signature, and I'm going to click OK. All right? So that means it's going to print that on there. You can even use a logo if you wanted to, all right? But in this case, no, it's going to keep it as like that. So now I'm going to go ahead and click Print. So in this case, I have the Microsoft one, which allows me to print a digital copy of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to save this into your folder. Okay. So once again, QuickBooks portable file, and I'm going to save it here. All right, and this is going to be payroll 1216 19. Okay, and save. So there, once you print out your checks, you'll get this window here that just verifies that you printed these checks out, and then I'm going to go ahead and click OK. All right, so that means I got my paychecks printed. How do I know? I'm going to go down to my check register, okay, on the home page. Okay. Okay, make sure it says checking, because usually it will toggle to a different one. So there you go, checking. I'm going to click OK. And it is right here. Check number 6069 and 6070, which says right here, pay check. All right. It's different than a regular check. It's a pay check. All right. All right. And let's take a look at our total amount here. So right now, we have a total of $79,359 is our total amount that we have in our checking account. Okay, so 79,359.70. Okay, so all that information is all there. Now, how do I know where all of my information went, or where all of my accounts? How do I know where they all went? Well, you could check your chart of accounts, right? And I'm going to go ahead and type up here, payroll. Okay, so here you go. I have all my payment information here. So if I want to toggle one at a time, right? Maybe I want to know what my gross wages were. So if I go ahead and run my report, right? And I say let's see, for this month, okay, which is for December, right? Here it says December 1st to December 31st. Here's my information. I wrote a check out for Katie, right? Katie Reynolds right here for a total of $2,414 plus her vacation hours for $85. And then for Mike right here, I wrote it out for $19.20. So again, these are gross wages, right? All the information gets inputted automatically into the correct files that they need to be in. So in this case, this is my track record for all the gross wages that I had to incur in order to have employees. So you could check up that. You could even check up liabilities, right? If you have payroll liabilities, you could see this one, for example, what my other current liabilities are. So then right here, paycheck number 670 for Mike Mazowski, right? He had to pay $76 to, I don't know, I think this is to his medical. We don't know what this is. We have to go back to when we set up the payroll. Like, what accounts did we link to other liabilities? So this, I think this is for medical. Okay, so there again, we have 2 for Katie and 2 for Mr. Mike. Okay, and that's pretty much it. We paid our employees. Okay, are any questions? It's that quick, easy, and simple.
I'm good.
Okay. So then, when they talk about making pay, you print out your paychecks, right? I think the next section is to pay for pay stubs. Print out pay stubs. Straightforward, right? Obviously, you can't go here to print checks because that's for checks, like your regular checkbook. You do unfortunately have to go to File. You're going to go to Print Forms, and here you're going to have your selection here on what you can print out. So you have a section for paychecks, and you have a section for pay stubs. So I clicked on pay stubs, and notice this. This is what the pay stubs that I'm looking for, right? If I want a different pay stub, I toggle the date up here. But in this case, this is the one that we just printed out, okay? And if I want to go ahead and view it, you can do that by clicking preview, okay? So if I want to preview my pay stubs, okay, it says right here, your employees' pay stubs includes most information, okay? So there you go. This is what the pay stub looks like for, I believe this is Katie, okay, for Katie Reynolds. This is her pay stub information, right? Straightforward, gives you the gross earnings, gives you all the taxes that Katie is subject to pay for. It even gives you all your year-to-date information, okay? Gives all the information on how much taxes they had to pay and what their net pay is and what their check amount's supposed to be. So again, pay stubs are crucial information because, again, for your employees, but for the employer itself, this is your track record of what you made payments to your employees for. And this is where you can match your total liabilities payments and et cetera, right? That's where you can double check when you process this paycheck, right? Did this check go through, and did QuickBooks automatically update the liabilities that each account was calculated for? Okay, so that is one of the things too here. Another thing too is maybe the employee might need a separate copy of their their pay stub for some reason, right? Whether it's applying for a loan, they might need to show proof of their pay stub, right? So this could be requested from the employee at any given time, right? Like I mentioned before, right? If I want a specific time frame, I just go up to that window and select the exact time frame, and I can print out as many copies as I need for the pay stub information, okay? I don't need to release at any time because this is the employee's this is their information. So if they need it, they can ask for it at any given time, and you could provide it for any given time, right? Now again, that's how you print pay stubs. Pretty straightforward, right? Pretty straightforward, right? Okay. All right. Now that we got to talk about printing pay stubs, all right? Next section is going to be, well, what if an employee decides to either lose their paycheck, or in this case, they forgot to tell you, oh, I need to make an adjustment to my paycheck because I actually didn't work this many hours this week. I worked that many hours, okay? For whatever reason, and you will have employees that will do this because especially new employees, right? New employees will often be the ones that you're going to be adjusting all the time, okay? Second employees would be any employees that do overtime or come in on a Friday when they don't need to and work extra hours, right? But they didn't have time to submit their timesheet in, right? For whatever reason, whether you hold the employee responsible for, or whether you hold the person who's in charge of payroll responsible for it, at the end of the day, you must pay your workers, okay? Even if they say, I worked this many hours, they can come back at you and say, hey, that's illegal if you can't pay me, right? Because you set the rules, you said, can you come in on Friday? You agreed that you're going to pay them extra money apart from their actual hours. You already made the agreement, so you have to pay for them. Now, if you made the Friday day optional, then they can choose to shut you down because you didn't have to come in the office. But if you wanted to, I mean, I can only pay you this much because you're not obligated to come to the office. Okay? So there are some agreements that you have to make sure you pan out and make sure that whatever agreement terms that you're on, make sure you follow those guidelines. Okay? So for any reason that you do have that, this is what you do. Okay? First off, right, we're going to talk about Mike, okay? This isn't in your book because your book doesn't teach you this. It just tells you pretty much information about what do you do if you need to adjust a employee's information. In this case, they don't teach you how to actually do it. They only teach you to make small minor changes on, let's say I forgot to put what class they are in. No, this is real life. So I'm going to teach you off the book real quick, where if you really want to edit a person's paycheck, an employee's paycheck, this is how you do it. Okay. So once again, you're gonna locate your paycheck, and there are two ways that you can do it. Right? You could either locate it in the check register, which this one is actually a little more difficult to do, just because your checking can hold a lot of information in there. But at the same time, like, you definitely don't want to modify through this window. So as you can see here, I might have clicked the wrong one. There you go. So if I go here to my checking, okay, right, there you go. My check, I can double click on it, and here is the payroll check information. And how you would modify it would be through this little paycheck detail. Okay, so that's one way that you could do it. All right. Second way that you could do it is to actually go through your actual payroll center itself. Okay. You're gonna click on Pay Employees. Okay, so the Pay Employees tab is already highlighted. You're going to select that check that you've written out, and then you're going to go down here below, and you're going to have the options here to edit/void this paycheck. Okay, and here's the paychecks that you just written out here. Okay, you can click on one of them, double click on them, and they will pop up the same exact window. So in this case, I want to edit Mike Mazowski. So there you go. That same exact window is going to pop up, and you're going to go ahead and edit the information right here under Pay Check Detail. Okay, and that's the keyword you're looking for, is Paycheck Detail. Okay, now here the book says you shouldn't change or edit paychecks often, because it could cause trouble and payment information, such as you could, be charging too much tax, or you could be overstating somebody's paycheck, or, for that instance, right, you could be putting in information that you have to go back and make an adjustment entry for. All right. Now, the best way to do it, once you're in this window, right, do not void the check whatsoever. Okay. I'm going to warn you now. If you are going to adjust this person's paycheck, do not void it. Okay. Because if you void it, you clear out all the information, and you have to be subject to go back in and recalculate everything. And you do not want to do that. Okay, because that's going to cause more holes and more, adjustments that you have to do to get the correct information. So what I'm going to have you guys do here is, let's say Mike said, "Oh, I'm so sorry," right? And this is after the checks have been released. Okay. Now, general rule of thumb is, you would think the first thing you would do is void that check immediately. In this case, we have to work a little backwards, okay? We're going to void the check as the last thing, okay? First thing you need to do is you're going to adjust this person's pay information, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and click on Pay Check Detail, okay? Now, let's just say Mr. Mike says, "I'm so sorry, guys. I called in half a day sick on Monday." Okay, but in this case, right, we don't offer sick pay, right? If we click here, do we offer sick pay? No, we don't. So therefore, he called in 4 hours sick. So therefore, I'm not going to pay him for that. I'm going to adjust his hours. So see right here, it says 80 hours. So in this case, right, he called off half a day on Monday because he felt sick in the afternoon. So he called the rest of the afternoon off. So in this case, he only clocked in 76 hours, right? Because half an 8-hour shift is 4 hours. So in this case, he only did 76 hours. Now, let's watch this carefully. Once I do that, right, and I click somewhere else, I should get this window where it says that this is a locked payment because there you go. It's saying, hey, you can't modify this because the net pay it does not match. So therefore, they're going to tell you this information right here, and you're just going to say, okay, yes, right? So I understand I can't make changes to it. However, you can. All right? It's going to give you all this information because it's telling you, no, you can't do this. You can't do it. Well, in this case, you can. Just close this extra box. What you need to do is go down to the bottom of the window where you see locked net pay. You need to unlock that. And then it's going to give you another error message saying, hey, if you unlock this and you're making changes left and right, this is what's going to happen. And you're going to say, okay, I understand because I need to make these changes, right? And now I'm going to adjust it once again to 76 hours, right? Just to make sure that this person is only earning $18.24. And what do you know? Once I click away, all the information is recalculated, okay? Automatically because now the pay is smaller. So look at all the information here that's being adjusted, right? The federal income tax withholding, right? When we first saw it, it was $313. Now it's down to $291. Okay? And what you're going to do here is you're going to save this file, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and click save. Or click OK. All right? So then now this is his check. All right? It still says it's check number 6070, but this is what you have to do. You're unfortunately going to either choose to click on pay print later, which is going to give you a second paycheck, or what you can do is you can click this print button right here, and you're going to print him a new check. All right? And it says that, okay, the check to this transaction must be recorded. Okay? And yes, right? There, we saved the actual thing. We saved his new paycheck now, and now we need to reprint it, and we're going to say this is going to be printed for check number 6071. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. All right? So now, once again, voucher style, everything looks good. I'm not going to attach a signature, so I'm just going to manually write it, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So once again, I have that window. I'm going to say this is Mike adjusted paycheck for 12-16-19, and I'm going to go ahead and click save. Okay, so there you go. Now I written Mike a brand new check because now it's adjusted, right? And what you're going to notice is, now let's take a look at my checking information. Okay, let's go to my check register and check out what changed, because that's the most important thing, is that you need to constantly check as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click here and click on checking. Okay, and click OK. And notice this, right? The check that you originally written above here for the 6071 or 6070, right, has now changed to 6071, and look at the amount. It has changed as well. And look, the amount increased to $79,412. So it put money back. So in this case, right, if you're doing it this way, you're reverting and converting everything back to what it's supposed to be calculated. That means all of your liabilities, all of your taxes, all of that information has now changed to the more current one. And that's what you want to do. You never want to void it, because if you void it, right, you have to put all that information in, and you could have a possibility where you accidentally forget to do that step, and your total payroll liabilities and your expenses, right, whatever it is, right, could be overstated. Okay, so the best way to do it is to not void it. Go in there, edit the information so it changes all the other information. And here it changed the checking account to reflect that instead of paying him the full amount, you're paying him for 4 hours less, which gives you a grand total of $79,412.70 or 13, excuse me. Okay. And then the next step that you have to do is you're going to have to enter it in this way, right? You're going to say it's the 16th. You're going to enter in the check number, which was 7060 or 6070. And same thing here. You're going to make sure that it says here for the payee, right? You wrote this check out to Mike, okay, Mizuki, okay? And the account number, hold on. If you want to enter in after in fact payroll, okay. I'm just going to go ahead and resume to register, okay. And account this time is going to be payroll gross wages, okay. And in this case, I don't remember what the paycheck information was. Do you guys remember? What does your book say that the amount was for? It should have been like 11. 1101.39. Okay, so you need to put the check information exactly like this. Okay, and then you're going to go ahead and enter this transaction, right? Once you have that in there, what you're going to do is you're going to then void this transaction here, because in this case, right, we don't have check 6070 anymore. But we need to make sure that our books reflect that we written out that check, but we had to reissue Mike a new check because he had to adjust his payroll information. So there you go. I voided that check. Okay. And I'm going to press enter to validate that. Yes. Okay. Oh, yes. And there you go. So back down to 79,412.13. Right here, we have the check for 6070 as a voided check. Okay. And we wrote Mike Mizuki a new check for 6071, which has the new payroll information, and nothing gets affected here. Okay? Any information on this, because this your book does not teach you, because they just say if you can't make changes, don't make changes. Okay? If your employee comes up to you and says they want to make changes, they can't. In this case, yes, you can, because you need to do this, because this is real life scenario. Yes, you have those employees where you have to adjust their earnings, especially if you end up paying more, or let's say you forgot to count some hours. You need to make sure that you pay them for the full amount, because they need to be recalculated for the correct federal taxes that they are subject to pay for. So in this case, this is the best way to do it. All right. Any questions here? Okay. So then another situation here is that oftentimes maybe your employee loses their paycheck. What do you do when an employee loses their paycheck? Okay, in that kind of scenario, and they need to request for you to reissue them a new check because they lost their check, this is what you have to do. Okay. So let's, for example, Katie Reynolds decides to call us and says, oh my gosh, I had my paycheck in my purse and my kid decided to go into my purse and, lost my paycheck somewhere. So it's somewhere. I don't know where it is. It's gone. It's lost. So you have to reissue Katie a new check. Now, how do you do that? Okay. Same information here, same way. If I go click on Katie Reynolds, right? And I click on pay information, I can go that way. Or what I can do is if you want to choose to pay later, you could just click this tab right here, save and close, and then reissue her a new check. That's as easy it is. And that way, you don't enter in another pay information overstating her pay liabilities, okay? Because in this case, you're just reissuing the same exact check for the same pay period. So in this case, I could go up to this print little window here and click on check. And this time, I'm going to make sure this is 6072, right? And I'm going to click OK. All right. Same thing, voucher style. Click here. All right. And once again, this is Katie replacement paycheck for 12-16-19. All right. Now that I printed that out, I will click OK. All right. Now let's take a look at my check register one more time. Okay. So here's my check register. Notice this. The amount in my paycheck or my checking account is the same. The only difference here is now I reissued that same exact check and now it's for check number 6072. Now what happened to check number 6069? That's where I have to go back into my register once again, enter that information, 60, 60, 69, right? Payee to Katie Reynolds. Okay. All right, resume. Okay. Account is once again payroll, gross wages. Okay. And here the memo, I forgot to put the memo for Mike, but in this case, the memo right here could be replacement paycheck for Katie, check number 6072. Okay. And information here, once again, I forgot what her check number was. What was the amount on her check? Oh, wait, it's right here above. 1820.97. Okay. Same thing again here. You're going to go up to this paycheck and you're going to void it because once again, that's how you're going to let QuickBooks know that you did write a check for 6079. I'm so sorry. I keep mixing those numbers up. 6069. And in this case, I want to make sure that it's been voided. So then, in case your employee does end up finding that paycheck, they can't cash in, right? Because it's voided. Now again, this is on QuickBooks terms. You need to go and call in the bank and say, I need you to void check number 6069 and 6070. Okay? And here shows you, right here, that this is going to validate that you did write a check to them, but in this case, there's reasons to it, right? And in this case, I'm going to edit Mike's real quick for the 6070. Okay, well, there we go. The note's already there. Okay, all right. Any questions in regards to what happens when an employee loses their paycheck and wants you to reissue a new one? This is the steps here. No voiding needs to happen, okay? No voiding, because then you will mess up your numbers, you will mess up all the tax tables and all the calculations, and you have to re-enter them in and make an adjustment entry to fix that amount, all right? So in this case, this is the best and easiest way to do it. Do not void the check, and you have to create a new check to void that check. okay? You do not void the actual paycheck themselves, okay? Any questions?
No.
Okay. Pretty straightforward, okay? So, once again, if you do this, you will not need to have to adjust anything in between the payroll because you're not using the payroll services to edit the paycheck. You're manually doing it through the either the check register or through the edit / void paychecks window, which then takes you to the actual paycheck and you can view the paycheck detail information. Okay, so that's that. Now, if paying employees was that easy, well, you can also expect paying liabilities is just as easy. So once again, if I click on pay liabilities, right, whether it's on the home page, payroll center, or through the menu bar, you're gonna be ending up at the payroll center anyways. And here now, instead of the pay employees tab, we are now on the pay liabilities tab, right? Here, we are subject to two different payments, right? We have one due for the federal, which is the 941, and we have the other state one right here for California. Those are all due, okay? Because it's the end of the month, end of the year, whatever you want to say, and this is all you have to do. You click on the one that you want, okay? Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and click view / pay. And then what's gonna happen is a window's gonna pop up, which looks just like your checking, right? You're gonna validate that this is all correct, right? That you're gonna take it out from your checking account, all right? Once again, this is the EFTPS, which is the Electronic Federal Tax payment system. All right, so we already know that, right? It's an EFT, right? You want to make sure that there is no such thing as a check number when you're doing an EFT. So it says to be printed. In this case, the check number is going to be EFT, right? Because you're using the electronic tax payment system. Okay, so in this case, I owe $2,538.52. Okay. Now, once again, all I have to do is just go ahead and click. All I have to do is just click pay, save and close because everything looks good. Date looks good, right? You're paying on the 15th in this case. I'm going to make a payment on the 16th. Okay. EFTPS, everything looks good. Save and close. And boom, you just made a payment to that and watch this. Now you're going to get this right here, which shows you your payments. Okay. I can just go ahead and click out of this. Okay. And if I go to my checking account once again, notice this. Okay. Go to my checking account and notice this. I made a payment on the 16th, A109. Okay. You could change that to EFTPS, whatever you want to do. Oh, wait, wrong one. Here, the EFTPS, right? This is your taxes. And notice this, it says liability check, okay? You cannot use a regular standard check to pay for payroll liabilities. Why? Well, first off, this isn't even a check. It's an EFTPS, so EFT, right? It's an electronic funds transfer, okay? And because of that, right, it's an EFT, right? Here it shows that we paid $2,538.52. Liability check, all right? So once again, in order to pay for your liabilities, you must go through the pay liabilities window. Just like paying bills, you must use bill payments, okay? You can't use a regular check to pay these liabilities, all right? Same thing with the state sales tax, right? You cannot use a regular check. You must go through the pay sales tax window to pay for sales tax, okay? Right? Because right now, QuickBooks is holding way too much information in regards to making bill payments, right? In this case, right, there's designated spots for places that you need to properly do in order for you to pay your taxes. So in this case, you must use the pay liabilities window to pay the federal and state taxes. Okay? Any questions there? Okay? Just as easy as that, right? If I want to go ahead and take a look at that information once again, I just pull up this liability check and it's going to tell me that I made a payment for federal income tax withholdings. I made a payment for Medicare for the company and employee. I even paid Social Security for company and employee. And I even paid for Medicare employee additional. Okay? So once again, it lists out all the payroll items or payroll tax liabilities that you are responsible for, as well as your employees are responsible to pay into, right? And this is it. That's how it uses this payment. Now, for any reason, for some reason you can't have access to the pay liabilities function, yes, you can go ahead and write a check, but the idea is that you want to make sure that you link up all the accounts because again, the best way to do it is to just go through the pay liabilities because it will pull all that information in for you automatically. Okay. So again, save and close. Okay. All right. Any questions there?
No.
Okay. All right, so last concept I will go ahead and go over real quick and then we'll go on a break is, well, what happens when you need to adjust your liabilities for any reason, okay? And for any reason you have to do it because whether you made a mistake on the paychecks or whether you didn't do service in one location or so on and so forth, for whatever reason that you have to make adjustments to your payroll liabilities, you would unfortunately have to go down to the payroll liabilities feature down below, right? If you notice, right, if you take a look at your payroll liabilities, it even flags you, right, and lets you know how much what you have left available right here. If I look down here, I have one payroll liability readily available that I need to pay. So they give you they flag you with little notifications here, okay? Just want to give you a little fun fact there. So here, I'm at the, wrong one. This is the accounting one. So back to the pay liabilities section in the payroll center. For any reason you need to modify. So for example, I need to modify my California withholdings. In this case, you can pay for it and then modify it. I think most cases that's what happens. But if I were to click that and click on edit and modify, oops, I think I clicked the wrong one. Yes, I definitely clicked the wrong one for that one. So, so here I am here on my payroll pay liabilities. I'm going to select this one and come down here and I should have the adjust payroll liabilities. Okay. So then now this window is going to pop up saying, well, what kind of payroll liabilities are you making adjustment for? So once again, date is fine. You definitely want to make sure that you're doing it for the company, okay? And for any class reasons, maybe for some reason we didn't do something in San Jose or whatever this tax is related to California tax for San Jose, then you can go ahead and justify it there, Okay. Now, in most cases, right, because it's a payroll liability, this would definitely go towards both employees, which could be for both store locations, right? In this case, we didn't specify that Mike works in San Jose and Katie just works at Walnut Creek. We didn't specify that. We specified that they work for both companies or for both store locations. So in this case, this is what your book says, okay? I don't have a clue why, but in this case, they said that maybe there was a job that didn't happen in California, so we need to adjust the taxes here. Okay, the effective date, you definitely want to make sure it's effective that same day. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and start with the items that we have here. So the item that we're going to be adjusting is going to be California unemployment tax. Okay, California unemployment. In this case, we're going to be using the plus and minus, right? If we need to add it to the taxes, we use positive numbers. If we need to subtract, we're going to use negative numbers. So in this case, it's for $10. Okay. And I believe the memo here says that we have California unemployment for this for SUI overstatement. Okay. SUI overstatement. Okay. Once everything looks good, right, we could go ahead and click OK. Now, in this case, I don't know what my original amount for my California SUI was for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually try to locate that in my chart of accounts because I need to make sure that that adjustment went through. So if I go to my chart of accounts, okay, and in this case, this is a payroll item, which I don't know what item I listed that one as, but I'm going to put CA to see if that will show up anything. So here, nothing there. But the best way I would be able to do that is because it's an payroll item list, I could run a report on that. So if I go to my list here, and I go to list, and I go to payroll tax item list, okay? And I go down below and I do a quick report, let's say, right? So again, I want it for this month, okay? Which should be for December, okay? And nothing's showing up. Let me click the refresh button. Nope. So in this case, I can't find my actual payroll unless I actually click on it. Let me see. So California, unemployment. Oops, I clicked disability. Okay, so California unemployment. Let's try to run a report on this. So if I click on this and I go report, let's do a quick report on the California unemployment. So here we are. We did this as of December 31st. Here you go. Liability adjustment. So in this case, I adjusted it by $10, which gave me a negative $10 in my liability. I didn't even pay it yet. But anyways, there you go. It shows up right there as negative $10 as part of your owings for the California unemployment. Okay. All right. Okay. Last but not least, let's go ahead and finish up that last payment. So once again, pretty straightforward. You cannot use the check window. Remember that. You have to go through the pay liabilities window. Okay? You're going to select the one that you want to pay. So this one's for California withholding. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and click view and flash pay. Now this time I'm sending it through the, in this case I'm sending it through the EDD. Okay? which is the Employment Development Department. So once again, this looks like a check I'm going to be actually writing out to. I don't know if the Employment Development Department is an electronic funds transfer or not. But if it is, then it's EFT. If not, then you're actually going to cut a check. Okay? So once everything looks good, right, I'm going to be paying for the California withholdings and the California disability. Okay? In a grand total amount for $561. And I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Close. Okay? If that check needs to be printed, then you can go ahead and go to the check register itself and print it out. But most cases, these kind of anything that's federal or state, they are using electronic ways to receive the money. So you just have to go into your checking account and make sure that you update that it isn't a check they're going to actually physically write. It is actually going to be an EFT. So in this case, where's my to print? Okay, right here, to be printed, the unemployment. So once again, you can modify this because this could be a liability check. If it is, you could associate with a number, but in this case, I'm not going to print out a check. I'm just going to say this is an EFT. Okay. Yes. Okay. So there we have it. I paid 2 liabilities, California and federal. All right. I paid my employees. I reissued them 2 checks because one of them lost them and the other one needed an adjustment. So in this case, any questions, and see how easy it is when you have a paid payroll system. It does the calculation for you. You don't need to do anything. Any questions? Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here and we're going to go on break. So it's exactly 3:10. So again, 15-minute break. So please be back no later than 3:25. Okay. Okay.